Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Victoria Skirbo from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. And I'm here with my friend, Reverend Denise Roberge. Hi, Denise.
Hello, how are you today?
I am fabulous. How about you?
I'm fabulous as well. Happy to be here.
Marvelous. Remember that? I'm marvelous.
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 Marvelous, darling.
So, of course, we know we've had a high tea with Denise, Reverend Denise, before. She is the sole proprietor, owner. What
Yeah.
would you what
Founder, sole proprietor.
Founder, I like founder, that's good.
Yeah.
Of One Mind Spiritual Services, correct? I got that right?
Yes.
Okay. And you can contact her at where, Denise?
www.onemindspiritualservices.com.
There you go. Um, and I'll put that in the descriptor below so that you can click on it and
And
find.
just know that the website you'll see right now is the website I created 8 years ago. That's had a few updates since then. But I'm in the process right now of working with a web designer, and I'm getting a whole new everything. And I'm so excited. So it's going to look one way now, and in a few weeks, it's going to look
There you go.
unbelievable.
Take it on.
Unbelievable. Off to the stratosphere we go.
So one of the things that I thought might be we were discussing about what to talk about was figuring out, like, making the conscious choice to focus on something and focus on what you want to create, as opposed to getting sort of pulled off center by circumstances or conditions that you find yourself in or that you hear about or such. And one of the things I thought might be helpful is if there was a quick practice, something quick that would help us to sort of align ourselves in such a way that we could maybe calm down from a situation and then um, step forward, because it seems to me that that many people are a little overwhelmed and paralyzed by fear.
Yes.
Right. And so I think that is there something that you do, Denise? Is there something that you would suggest, something we could do right now that
Yeah,
people could?
there are a number of different things that I could do right now. The thing that's really coming in strongly from my guides is a little bit of breath work first, and then a little bit of
Excellent.
visualization. Um, the only thing that stands between us and our ultimate nature on the other side is the breath. The breath is very holy, and the breath is underutilized when we're stressed.
Amen.
We breathe very shallow. We we find our heart palpitating because we're not giving it enough oxygen. We find maybe tingling in the hands or head or feet. So when we're overdoing it, overwhelmed, and in a stressful environment or situation, we're not getting enough oxygen. So the first thing that we can do for mind, body, spirit is to do a couple of really quick breath techniques. And I'm going to teach two, and they're real short, and I'm not going to go deeply into it, but you can take it as far as you, the listener, the viewer, can take it as long as you want, and often as you want, as little as you want. Because the first breath I'm going to teach is the cleansing breath, and it's a yoga breath. Actually, they're both yoga breaths. And this is the cleansing breath helps us, first of all, to fill ourselves with oxygen. So our cells get activated and our muscles relax, because the muscles feel better the more oxygen they have. The whole body just goes into the parasympathetic nervous system gets kicked in, and we start the process of coming down with breathing. There's more that we can do as well, but the beginning, we need to breathe. That's what we all need to do. That's the first go-to thing that I use, is doing a breathing technique. And I know a number of them, and I teach them to my clients, and they make a huge difference. So the first one, this one is in through the nose and out through the mouth. And the purpose is to bring in a whole bunch of oxygen and get the body, mind, and spirit settled. and then to exhale everything we don't need. So we're breathing in relaxation and goodness and light, and we're breathing out everything we don't need, whatever the static energy is or the static inside of us. So, but the important thing in this breath is to pause in between each part of the breath. So you breathe in through the nose all the way to the diaphragm as deeply as you can, and relax your shoulders. Hold for a couple of seconds, and then exhale through the mouth slowly and completely until you feel empty. Pause again, and then breathe in. All right, so let's close our eyes and do 3 of these, okay? Breathe in through the nose, deeply. Hold, exhale through the mouth. Again. One more. That is a very active breath. Now just feel how different you already feel after only 3 breaths.
Wow.
I mean, it's amazing. And don't worry, if you can't breathe deeply right away, this is a practice and it gets better. The other breath I'm going to take my glasses off for is alternate nostril breathing. So you basically use your thumb and your ring finger for this, and your middle finger goes on the third eye. And if you can't do it perfectly, don't worry about it. So first start with the thumb closing the right nostril, and breathe in through the left nostril. Hold it, and then cover the left nostril with the ring finger, and then breathe out through the right nostril. And then breathe in through the right nostril. Put your thumb over the right nostril and breathe out through the left nostril. Breathe in through the left nostril. Close that nostril and out through the right nostril. One more time. Breathe in through the right nostril and out through the left nostril. What this does is it actually balances the energy in the left and right hemispheres of the brain. And between those 2 breaths, that's a whole treatment. Wow. If you take 3 minutes a day and do that 2 to 3 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, however long you want, it's going to keep you in a state of equanimity, balance. And whenever you're in stress or trauma, breathe. Whatever kind of breathing you can do, but if you can do these, even better. So is that enough, or do you want me to do one more technique?
No, I think those are fabulous. And the one thing that, you may notice, especially with the alternate nostril breathing, with the alternate nostril breathing, is one side will generally be easier to breathe in and out of.
Yes.
And that's the dominant side. And so and I often wonder, and I don't know if you can answer this question, you may know this. I think that's called pranayama. Is that what that breathing is called? Pranayama?
Pranayama is the practice of breathing, and I think that's sort of an umbrella term for yoga breath work.
Oh, okay. See, I don't know.
I think it's the kind of general.
I wanted to sound smart, but I heard the word.
That's a good word. I took a yoga class when I was 17 with my mom and her best friend's husband.
What, like 20 years ago or so?
Yeah, 20. Yeah. Yeah, 20 years ago. And the breathing techniques never left me. And I have a sort of yoga-ish attitude, although I don't practice yoga on a regular basis. I do stretch and dance, which I do yoga breath, but I do other types of movement that sort of works in a similar way.
You know, I was thinking when I was saying things that you can do to make yourself, you know, get out of your uh,
Mhm.
dance is another one, right?
Oh,
Just moving your body,
dance
you know, getting
is
the receptors
the
moving.
music and dancing to music or dancing without music, but I prefer to dance with music. It gets the blood flowing, it loosens up. The thing about emotions is that anything that you move your joints is really great. And as a chiropractor, I know you firmly believe this as well. Our emotions that are unreleased, our traumas that are unreleased, sit in our bodies in various places, but particularly the joints.
Joint, yep.
So anything that we do, like dance, where we're moving a little bit, moving our joints, moving our hips, moving our knees, our feet, it's beautiful because it gives some of that excess energy or static energy or troublesome energy a way out. It's an exit
Right. And
format.
energetically, there's chakras at the joints. Right? I
Absolutely.
think there's chakras at the joints. So
Well, there's
that would
chakras everywhere. Yeah.
right. But I mean these little discrete chakras you can find
Yes. Subtle.
in the
Yes. Subtle.
knees and yeah. So
Yeah,
moving
so
through
you're
the body.
actually, yeah, you're actually working with your chakras when you're moving in almost any way. But dance and yoga are both fabulous. Dancing for me, and not everyone, dancing for me is a spiritual practice because it's one of the things that if I play the right music, singing can. There's a few songs, there's some music that I sing to that bring me to the same place. They spiral me out of my body, and I get out. I actually leave my body while I'm dancing. I know that sounds weird, but my spirit, I don't know if it completely leaves my body, but it lifts from my body
Right.
and I forget my body. My body is moving all by itself to the music. And it's a form of meditation for me. And it's something I try to do as often as I can. This year has been a little tricky with all the
I wonder if you had like
stuff.
a past life as a whirling dervish.
Oh, I have visions. I have visions. I know I did. I
A
know it.
Sufi with your
I
with
was
your
I was I was
with the
definitely
skirt and the hat. I love
oh
it.
yeah. I look at those pictures and I get all tingly when I see pictures of
Yeah.
dancing and yeah, the whirling dervish or whatever that. Yeah, I love.
I definitely feel like a Persian sort of vibe from you anyway.
You.
I mean, like a past life Persian vibe, like that kind of that area of the world. So yeah, I could
Well,
see
you know,
that.
Rumi is in that realm. I think he's a Sufi.
Yes, he was.
And
Yeah.
Rumi's wisdom is amazing, and I love it when it comes across my path. I love Rumi's wisdom, although he gets a little harsh sometimes. He gets a little,
Well,
he digs a
uh,
real deep sometimes.
well, you know, you're a product of where you come from too,
Right.
and that area can be pretty harsh.
Oh my God, just the environment. You have to be really tough to deal with the sands and the winds, and
Right.
it's not an easy and cold, freezing cold at night and broiling hot during the day. It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, it's a place of extremes, and you will find in where there are places of extremes that their pantheon of gods and their spirit.
Okay, we're frozen. Oh no, we're frozen. I'm not sure if the viewers are seeing me, but for me, Vicki is frozen, and I don't know whether to keep talking or shut my mouth. Um, hmm. Well, this happened once before earlier, so hopefully she'll be back any second now. I don't I don't look frozen. Maybe I look frozen to Vicki. Maybe I'm talking for no reason whatsoever. Oh, technology. Mercury retrograde. Woohoo. Okay, Vic. I don't know what to do here. All right. If anyone, oh, are you back, Vicki?
I'm here. I'm here.
That whole last minute and a half, 2 minutes, you were frozen. Was I frozen?
You disappeared. At Mercury retrograde.
I
So
know.
what was the last thing you heard from me? Did you hear the thing about the Old Testament?
No,
Did you hear about the Judeo-Christian stuff I talked about?
no, none of it.
Okay, so we're not going to talk about that then.
I got blanked out. So maybe something
Like,
else.
let's not talk about that. All right, we'll go with the flow on that. Um, yeah. So you know that severity of the area that whole tradition comes from
Right.
is uh reflected in the spiritual practices of that place, right? Just like the Native Americans had a spiritual practice that was based on their where they were, or the Mayans, or the Incans, whatever,
The
that.
Mayans are very close to my heart because my children's father is from Guatemala and his people, uh, he has Mayan heritage, and my kids, you can see it in my children. They're
You can
beautiful.
definitely see she has beautiful children, beautiful,
Yeah,
gorgeous.
they are gorgeous and they're beautiful inside and out.
Yeah.
I'm so blessed.
Well, they had a pretty good mother, so.
They had a great mom, but they didn't grow up in a, I wasn't always great when they were little.
No,
I
well,
wasn't consistently great. I was always loving, consistently like with it, not really. I was in my 20s and those weren't my healthiest years. Not,
well,
not my healthiest years.
well, if if
But you
if
know
we
what?
had
Every time
if
I
we
screw
had
up,
perfect childhoods, how would we grow?
exactly. And we got to give our kids stuff to grow from too, right? That's part of our job. And boy, I gave my kids plenty to grow from. But the thing that we had such love, the three of us. Their father and I separated when they were very young, and the three of us were a unit. And I got a reading from I don't remember who. It was so long ago. And I was told by her and one other reader that the three of us are actually one soul,
Wow.
all part of the same soul. And we've been traveling through lifetimes and after lifetime in different roles, but together, that we're like a unit, we're a soul unit. And I really believe that. I really believe that. I'm sure many parents have children that they've known in many other lifetimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I'm sure.
I think we tend to reincarnate in our family line.
Do you know, I know someone who didn't do that. She actually was regressed into the interlife before. I did some of that work with you.
Yeah.
Remember what was that work called we did?
Deep memory process.
Ooh, that was intense. You ought to put that on your website because that's a wonderful experience. I did that 2 or 3 times with you. And anyway, this woman was regressed just before this lifetime. She had the choice of picking the parents of her dreams, but they weren't ready yet. It was going to be a while longer before she could incarnate, or just pick anybody. And she just
Okay.
picked anybody. She was in a hurry to get here.
Was she an Aries? I'm just curious.
Well,
It's okay. You don't have to
no,
answer.
she was a Pisces, but she had to have Aries somewhere. She's very
Yeah.
Aryan. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she decided to jump in with these people and had a freaking horror show of childhood. And then when she kind of,
Lesson learned. Lesson learned.
I know, but she actually was given wisdom from some
Right.
shamans. They said, you actually didn't pick the wrong ones. You actually picked the ones that were in greatest service to your soul. The other ones, you would have had an easier life, and it would have been different. But your soul grew a whole lot more with this choice. So you actually didn't make the wrong choice. You made the choice that your soul wanted. And she didn't want to hear that. She said, I never would have picked those people. But
Well, growing pains.
we don't pick the easy route. Those of us that are healers, we do not pick the
Well,
easy
we
route.
well we can't, because then
No, we
what
have
would
to
we have to heal, right? Heal, reveal thyself.
yeah. And
You
how
know,
can you teach anybody else anything?
growing pains is a real thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we had briefly discussed before was talking about how we calibrate, how we monitor and affect change when we're all over the place, emotionally, psychologically, socially, because a lot of us have had reactions to lots of stuff. I mean, let's face it, this past year has been a trial. for a lot of people.
I'm thinking as you're saying that, what comes to my mind is, as you're an empath and I'm an empath, um, there's and then on the opposite end of that is right the narcissist. So we have the empath narcissist,
Hmm.
polarity as it were,
Hmm.
and empaths are very sensitive to their environment, and oftentimes they don't know what they don't know. They just feel stuff. They don't know where it's coming from. they
Right.
they tend to
Well,
have.
and they end up blaming themselves, and that's one of the big holes that we have to dig ourselves out of over our lifetimes, over our lifetime, is not blaming ourselves and
Well,
just
it's the taking responsibility for everything, empath side, and taking responsibility for nothing,
amen.
which is the narcissist side. And it's
Yes.
coming to the center of that. It's
Mm.
coming to that place of uh, being responsible for yourself, right?
Mhm.
And yet being empathetic to the trials of other people,
Right.
right? It's keeping your compassion without losing yourself,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Keeping compassion without losing yourself. I think that some people find themselves all of a sudden in a place where they don't even know how they got there emotionally or whatever. They just wake up and they're miserable, they're
I had
angry.
a I had a few nights in college like that, but that's another story. Go ahead.
I'm talking non substance
Oh, okay.
involved. Yeah, this
That
time.
doesn't have anything to do with kamikazes. Okay.
Exactly. No, no, we're not talking about kamikaze. We'll have another tea on that.
Yeah.
Maybe a little kamikaze in our tea.
Oh God, no.
I haven't had a drink in 31 years, so I'm probably not going to start now.
I probably haven't had a kamikaze in that long. I mean, well, maybe longer. I mean, that was college.
Oh,
How
college.
long ago was that? Never
I,
mind.
I
I don't want.
learned how not to drink in college by
Oh.
drinking in all the wrong ways, and oh my God.
Well, isn't really life about you first learn what not to do before you learn what to do? Isn't that like
I
it's like
learned
the
a lot.
general thing, you know?
Yeah, I learned a lot about drinking. Yeah, I learned a lot about how not to drink.
It's interesting today. Excuse me, bit hair in my mouth. Today, when I was doing my thing outside, I said something like, "Oh God, what did I say?" We have free will, so we can do whatever we want, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's karma, so we can do whatever we want, but we can't expect not to pay,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You play, you pay, right?
You pay, you play, you pay. Yes.
We're that's what we're here on this kindergarten, little marblish kindergarten called Earth, just to do what we're doing, which is to f up and make all kinds of mistakes and walk down difficult roads and find our way back to ourselves. That's life. That's human life.
The other day, I put something up on Facebook, and you commented on it.
Which
It
was
was something that I said like 7 years ago that just came out of my head, and I think it was knowledge. You can get lots of knowledge from books, but wisdom comes from experience,
amen to that.
right? And so experience is, oh my God, what did I just do? Right?
Yep.
Was that me? That wasn't me. Yeah, it was you. You made that choice. Will
And
you make it? Will you make it again? Probably not. But
well,
then sometimes you do. So
absolutely. One of the things that's really interesting is how we start off our life, at least I did. I'll speak for myself, and I know I speak for a number of people, feeling really victimized and feeling that we were born to the wrong generation. I really felt like I was born at the wrong time. I always wanted to be a hippie. I wanted to do the next progressive cool thing. And I was always just a hair young. I was just a little bit young to like, I was 13 when Woodstock happened, and I was still a kid, and I grew up in a repressive Catholic, environment. So there was no like
isn't
saying,
that redundant? Repressive Catholic environment. Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, it is. It actually is. So I mean, there was just no way at 13 I could have said "f you" to my parents and
Right,
gone
right. No,
off. And
me. I still can't say that. You kidding me?
Oh, my son
The
taught me that.
hammer will come down 100, doesn't
My
matter.
son taught me that you actually can say, I don't care what you think, Mom, this is what I'm doing. My son taught me all about that.
Yeah,
My
I didn't have
son,
it. I
if
didn't
my
have it.
son had an idea, he did it. And the best I could do was negotiate safety with him.
Yeah.
But in any case, so I got to be 14, 15, and I was so just always frustrated because I didn't realize at the time that I had a big, expansive journey ahead of me. So I wanted everything now. I wanted to experience everything now. I wanted to do it now. I wanted to have sex now. I wanted to drink now. I wanted to smoke weed. I wanted to do all that stuff. So I did all that stuff very young, and got out of it pretty young too. Thank God. But so anyway,
Well, that's your Mars and Aries. You can't, you just, it's,
that thing's got me in so much trouble at times.
yeah. But
Yeah.
it probably gotten you out of trouble too, because Mars and Aries has good instincts. So there
Yeah.
were probably times when you're like, you know what? I don't think I should be here.
Oh yeah, lots of especially as I got older, I started realizing, I think this is the wrong crowd for me. I think this is the wrong situation. Yeah, I learned how not to hitchhike. I did a
Oh
lot
my
of hitchhiking
God.
in college.
Oh,
Yeah, I almost got
yeah.
I almost had some life
Bad
life
situation. Yeah.
life threatening situations and well-being threatening situations with that. Yeah, I was crazy. I don't know what the heck I was thinking. I look back on my life and I'm like, I grew up in a place where I wasn't taught about how to manage myself, and I wasn't taught what the rest of the world was like.
I
I
was
thought
not,
my whole world was the same. I thought the world was the same. Everybody was like me, and I would go out there, and everybody would be. If they were mean, well, they'd get over it. They would say sorry, and no, I didn't know. I didn't know that there were wrong people that did wrong things, people that did harmful things.
you know
Didn't
what I think that's a process of? I think that when you are, there's a feeling, and I had this feeling growing up too, that you were out of your element. Like you came
oh,
into this,
always.
you come into this, onto this planet, and people's motivations are something you don't always understand.
Oh
And
no.
I think that's part of being and I don't want to sound grand in this way, higher spiritual being, but there's an innocence that comes with
Mm.
somebody who's more connected to the spiritual side of things. And I think that's true of most children, right?
Yeah.
I think that's probably a common experience,
Oh, sure.
right?
But some
And
of us don't have never let or it took a long time to understand that there are people and situations in the world that aren't like you.
well, I had a reading done 1999, so I was about 38, I think, at that time. And it was my Kabbalah teacher, Linda. And she was looking at my chart and she said, you don't understand that most people are not well intentioned. It's not, she says, you have no idea. Now you're getting to understand that. Oh boy, did I get
Uh,
to,
Same, same.
yep.
I remember acting now, looking back, I see how clearly inappropriate I was at different times. Not wrong or bad, just way off, like off center, off the beaten path, out to lunch. I remember once I had a boy in my dorm room. I had a shared a dorm room. I was on way on one side. She was way on the other. In the middle of the night, we were tired. We both crashed on top of my bed. Nothing happened. I thought this was okay because we weren't doing anything. I had no idea that my roommate would have a problem with it. Zero idea. I was, oh my God, I was ostracized. I was criticized. I was afraid to go back. Everybody was mad at me. All these people were yelling at me because I had sweet mates. Oh, they were yelling at me. And I'm like, but I didn't do anything. And they're like, what is this? You don't understand. And I'm like, I don't even know what I don't understand. I really honestly did not know what was wrong with that. Now I do. It's an invasion of privacy. Who wants strangers in their house, in their bedroom, particularly? I mean, nobody wants strangers in there. I get it now, but I had to go through every kind of situation like that. After college, my one of my first jobs was in an office. So I would bring my ballet clothes because I studied a lot of dance in college, and I was really in great shape at the time. And I didn't want to get out of shape. I'm like, oh, I'm not in college anymore. I'm not walking 3 miles a day. I better exercise at lunchtime. So I would wear my ballet clothes under my regular clothes. And then when everyone left the office for lunch, I would go and do some exercise, some stretching and whatever. And one time the boss came back while I was still doing my routine. She had a fit. She was yelling at me and calling me every name. And I looked at her, in all honesty, I did not understand what was her problem. She said, people with leotards don't belong in an office. And she was like, ah, freaked the fuck out, freaked out. She just couldn't even handle it. She was out of her mind.
So funny.
And I left and I'm like, I don't know what her problem is. I was covered. It wasn't like I was naked.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could understand not being naked in an office, but I was covered. Oh boy, everything, my whole
I
life.
can understand if she found me naked, she might not be upset.
That I would get, but I was clothed. I
But
wasn't.
I was in my dance skin, so
I thought I was fine. What's wrong with my dance skins? So yeah, I don't know. Life isn't easy for us innocents. And one time you called me guileless. A little bit of that is still in me.
I think you have to keep it. You don't want to lose the innocence.
No, I never really got jaded. I learned lessons, loads of them, but I never got to the point where I couldn't trust or I couldn't let people in. I just knew that the world was a freaking mystifying place. And
I've known you for a while now. And has it been like 10, 12 years, something like
yeah,
that,
at least.
longer?
Well, it was before 2012 because you knew me before I went to ministry school.
It was right around that time. It was right around. It was
So we've probably
maybe
known
a
each
year
other since
before, about a year
2010.
before. Yeah.
2010 or
Well,
2011.
that was a big shift year anyway. We were destined to be together, I think, to
Oh
move
yeah.
through these crazy shifts that we're going
So
through.
how many years is that? It's 2021 now. How you do the math?
Oh my God, you want me to do math? 9? 9 years, 10 years, I don't know, 12 years. Well, let's call
Okay,
it 12 years because that's easy. Just let's call it that.
2010
Um,
minus
gonna do the math.
2021. 11 years.
Well, it's a masked number. Woo. But one of the things that I've always admired in you that I don't always possess, I know, is that you get in these situations where you get like sideswiped by people. Like you do this thing,
I do, yes.
and that's like whoosh, and I'm like, holy shit, what just happened? And but you
And I
have
don't see it coming, but until afterwards, I'm like, oh yeah, that was why didn't I see that coming?
right, and but you it's challenging and it's painful, and I've seen you go through
Mm,
all that stuff, but you always come to on the other side of that with grace, and I'm always I admire that about you because I'm a little bit more. You're gonna f with me, f you. You can go take a hike.
you're
You
a Jersey girl, Jersey girl.
well, yeah, okay. So I'm a Jersey girl. You can take what's that old cigarette commercial? You can take something out of the country, but you can't take the country out of sale. And remember that song?
Vaguely, yeah,
That,
vaguely.
so it's like you can take the girl out of the city, but you can't take the city out of the girl.
I
That
grew
sounds
up at the time was quite rural, actually. We still had farm stands and farms, and I lived in a
we had 2 trees on my block.
oh, I grew up playing in the woods. I was right next to a lake. Um, we had the houses were very close together because it used to be a resort. I don't know if resort's a big word. Not. It was a place where people had these little tiny cabins
Like
on.
a campsite. It was a campsite.
Yeah, but a lot of people ended up
Resort.
buying their little cabins and expanding them into houses.
Right.
So after a while, and I knew people that were there when I was growing up that was their summer home. There was summer, and they were all cabins. Some had heat, some didn't. I mean, it was funny. Now it's all houses and it's all crowded and very
Yeah.
few trees
Well,
anymore.
welcome to the.
But it was the poorest town,
Yeah.
it was the poorest neighborhood in the town. So, but I didn't know that until after I graduated high school. I didn't know I lived in the poor section. My sister did. She's like, "Don't you hate living here?" And I'm like, "Why? Why would I hate living here?" I never even understood why my sister, she said, because it's so low class. I said, what do you mean? We're low class? What do you mean? Low class? What does that mean? Didn't
Yeah.
even know what it meant.
Yeah. I
And
never,
he was
I was,
ashamed. And I'm like, what? And my kids and I lived uh, oh, uh, in a beautiful, gorgeous, wealthy neighborhood, the only slum in it. Okay.
well, they say by
And it
by
was a slum. It had rats and everything. It was really a bad building. It was not a good building, but it was a great neighborhood to raise a kid. My son does not remember that as being a favorable time in his life. My daughter thinks that that was the absolute most heavenly place she could have ever been raised. She loves that place, loved that place. That was her happiest place.
wow.
And my son did not experience it that way.
It's interesting though, like even just talking about that, how different people in the same situation experiences something
Yeah.
different, right?
Well, we're all focusing on different things.
Right.
And
And
what I,
we all have our our lens.
as an
Our lens.
extreme empath, all I cared about was people's heart and their intentions and their kindness. And that's all I was looking for. That was all I knew to be the truth of people, is that there was always something good about everybody. I don't know why. And it wasn't always true, but I still believed it. Well, it really is always true, because everyone everyone's made up of the same thing I'm made up of. So we're all good. There's nobody nobody isn't doesn't have the spark of the universe in them, doesn't
Right.
have the spark of creation in them, doesn't have the perfection of the divine within them. So I think I never lost that. A lot of people lose that belief very young. No matter what I went through, I never lost that. And I'm very grateful for that. No matter what happened to me, and many things happened to me, I always considered it an aberration. It was like, she really wasn't nice, but she's usually nice. So I'm just going to give her a pass on that. And and I had to be hurt 17 times before I would let someone go when I was young.
Right.
Like they'd have 17 aberrations before I recognized that it was a pattern. I go, she keeps doing that. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know if I should be her friend anymore. I was such an innocent. Oh my God,
Yeah.
such an innocent. And people would say things like, "Oh, you live there." I mean, ugh. And I thought I was normal, and that when I would go to someone's house that had 2 stories, I thought maybe they were rich, or if they had a swimming pool, they were rich. But it didn't. I didn't feel less than because of where I lived. I
Right.
just felt like they were luckier.
Where I grew up, it was, it was working class, industrial sort of
Uh,
neighborhood. My father was a white collar worker. He was an accountant. My mother was a housewife, and I was an only child. So I felt like I was rich because most of my friends were like one of like 5 kids. They all like they lived in the same size apartment that I did, but all the kids had, like we had these railroad apartments. There'd be the kitchen on one end, the living room on the other end, and
yeah.
then all the bedrooms in between. So you'd have to like walk through everybody's bedroom. Nobody had a door on their bedroom. It was a different kind of
Wow.
yeah. So it was like not how it was like apartments, right? But
That's
I
like the
always
row houses in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, they just, like they called them railroad rooms. They called them
Hmm.
cold water flats. That was what those things were called. You had to make your own hot water and stuff. But, I mean, it was cool. I had one friend, she was an older woman. She's actually my mother's friend, but I always felt like she was my friend too. She was one of those
I
people,
had some of those.
right? And we went into her apartment and she had, her sink was also her bathtub, so she had like a sink part to it, and then you'd take this thing up, and then there'd be so she'd have to take a bath in literally in the kitchen sink. That's where she took her bath. And I that always like that was like a really old time apartment.
Uh-huh.
Because I was born in the '60s, so we're talking about like maybe the '30s and
Improvements were
40s.
done to most houses by then.
By that time, they had like a bath. I had an aunt who had her bathroom in the hallway. That's
Oh,
interesting. So you had to go out in the hallway to
wow.
go to the
Well,
bathroom.
we had a family member, my father's cousins and his aunt and uncle had a piece of property that had outhouses, and that's what when you went
Yeah.
when we had parties, you used the outhouse, and I thought that was fascinating. And then I started meeting different people that had outhouses, and even though they had plumbing, indoor plumbing, they still just never got rid of their old outhouses. And I thought that was fascinating that people would go outside to go to the
I have a funny
facilities.
story about an outhouse, if you don't mind me
Go, oh, go ahead.
and you'll appreciate this. I had a boyfriend whose family had a cabin in Maine. So you know where this is going, right?
Oh,
So
well, there are people that still have outhouses
yes,
in
I
Maine.
know. So there were two. It was like they were the Kennedys, only it was like not really Kennedys, like a small little. They had one little house near the lake, and then they had one up a little bit further on the hill. And we were down at the lake, and I said to my boyfriend at the time, I said, Jim, I have to go to the bathroom. Where's the bathroom? This was such a small house. I didn't see where the bathroom. He goes, oh no, they have an outhouse. And I was like, what? Now this is a city girl, right? I'm a city girl. I mean, I could deal with the bathtub.
It's okay to yeah, it's okay to bathe in the kitchen, but go
Right,
outside to go
right.
pee. Oh my God.
So I was like, what? He goes, oh, I'll take you. So he walks me to the attic. I open it up. I look around. I see spiders. I'm like, he says, you just, close the door and go. I'm like, what? I actually had him, I went to the bathroom. I think I just had to pee, of course. But I went to the bed. I made him stand in the doorway facing out and wouldn't let him. I said, you have to stand there so nobody can see me. I'm not closing this door. So I was traumatized.
Oh my God.
So then we were staying in the other cabin that was up the hill a little bit. And I went in there and there was a bathroom. And I'm like, why did you make me go in the out? Why did you tell me there was a bathroom in the cabin that we were going to be staying in? So very mean. So very well, you got the whole experience. You got the whole
Yeah, the whole Maine experience. I have a lot of experiences with Maine. My mother's lived there for 40 years, I think. A
yeah.
long time.
I know we talked about that. Denise and I, once the COVID stuff is done, we're gonna do a what
Retreat.
thank you. What's the word? We're gonna do a retreat. So we'll keep you guys posted. It's way up in Maine, right?
Way up in rural western Maine. It's in the valley. It's actually in the foothills of the White Mountains. It's only an hour away from New Hampshire. It's in Andover, Maine.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
we'll keep you guys posted on that if you're in the neighborhood and you want to join us.
Or even if
Or
you're
if
not in the
you're not in
neighborhood,
the
you want a
neighborhood and you
vacation.
want to join us, you can join us.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. It'll be like, I don't know what it is yet, but I can like feel it. I feel it happening, but I don't exactly know what it looks like yet, but you know what that feels like.
I sure do. Again, I live like that. I live.
So, Denise, I have class in a little while, so we're kind of running out of time. You're usually the one who points that out, but I'm the one pointing that out today.
Okay. Okay.
So we were going to talk about the the choice of where to focus. So
Yeah.
I think that's an important thing to talk about. If you want to say something about that,
Sure.
and if something comes to me, I will add, of course. But maybe another like 10 minutes.
Sounds great. Yeah, that's awesome. One of the things that I think most of us are finding, including myself, during this past year is that we are more emotionally volatile at times. And
Past 4 years. Ed.
we could go back, but it's been especially difficult since COVID,
Yes.
on top of Trump's last year, on top of the major grand shift with all the downloads of excessive amounts, like crazy amounts of light we've been given, the ascension process going into hyper mode. There's been a lot of energy coming in, and a lot of energy going out, and a lot of energy coming at us. So it affects our it can, unless we're really strong all the time, which I don't think anybody's strong all the time, but um, it hits our alignment and it throws us off. It throws our alignment out of center. So what do we do when we experience a loss? Now, there have been so many losses. People haven't been able to bury their dead. People haven't been able to go to have their people baptized or go to have a wedding or,
How about get a hug?
oh, a
Get
hug.
a hug.
I'm ready to pay somebody to hug me. I mean,
But
I know you
you know,
you would hug the hell out of me, honey, but we don't see each other very often. So,
I know.
you know, and I know yours, I'd have no problem hugging you. You know, I know how safe you are. But really, we're all hug deprived, we're touch deprived.
Hermetically sealed over here in the seats.
It's almost like you have plastic around you. So anyway, we have a lot of stressors, and to remain as peaceful as possible, you know, that's why I taught those breath techniques at the beginning, because I really know that that's a healing tool that we can use anytime, because we always have our breath until we don't, and then we're dead, and then we don't care anymore, right? We're in a completed state. So use the holy breath. And secondly, attention, energy flows where attention goes. And we need to focus on what we're paying attention to. In order to be well, we need to focus on what we're paying attention to. And if we're giving energy and attention to things that are unhelpful to our own personal alignment, then we need to make a choice. Do we want to continue on that road where we're draining our energy, we're giving our resources, we're putting our focus in a place that's not helpful to us? Or do we want to refocus and change and focus on things like self-care, things like boundaries, things like making healthy choices for ourselves? Maybe how am I going to take care of my body? What's optimal for my body? So I'm going to give a more concrete example. I have one of my major ascension symptoms is heart palpitations.
Oh.
When I get serious downloads of light, it's because my body is wired to be anxious. I've done really well with the anxiety. I've really dramatically lessened my anxiety over the past couple of years, few years, whatever, through all these different things that I do to take care of myself. However, when energies are coming at me without my knowledge, when we're getting the extreme downloads of light, when it's something happening in another part of the country, and I'm probably like soul connected to that country, and all of a sudden I start going, and it's hard to breathe, and my heart pounds, and it's pretty regular. I get that. That's one symptom that I get pretty regularly. So now I have to take a look at what I can focus on to make that better. So if I start to feel funky like that, the first thing I do is try to do a little breathing. And the second thing I do is put my attention on something really mundane that doesn't take any mental energy, that calms me down. So I might put some music on and go do my dishes, or I might put some music on and dance, or I might do something really calming, like read a book. And one thing that I like to do, I use aroma a lot. I have essential oils, so I use essential oils a lot, and I know which one works for what. I have happy essential oils, I have calming essential oils, I have all that stuff. I love essential. But even just a stick of Palo Santo,
Oh, I love that stuff.
I love it. I love it too. Or
My Palo Santo is so small now that I keep burning my fingers.
I'll have to get you some more. I have a couple of them at home. White sage is well, any kind of sage, but I like white sage is really good. And meditating, not when I'm heart palpitating. That's more of a meditation for me, is a preemptive, like proactive kind of activity. So if I get to meditate before I have an opportunity in the morning to start getting wound up about life, or reading the wrong news bulletin, or hearing the wrong post, or whatever that might set me off. if I meditate, I'm armed. I'm like full of my love and full of my source energy, and my aura is bigger because I've done all that breathing, because I do a lot of breathing when I meditate, deep breathing. And I'm calm and peaceful and more resilient. So we have things that we can do as rescue remedies, and we have things that we can do that are preventative. Like everyone believes in prevention, right? I mean, that's the big medical in medicine and whatever. And now, what's that phrase?
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of.
That's the one. Uh, and so let's focus on prevention. Let's focus on what we can do.
Proactivity.
Yeah, let's be proactive. So, if we're really, I'm going to give an example. Some people are in a panic about COVID. They're really scared. They're really frightened, and certainly not without good reason. I mean, it's a pretty scary disease. So people get anxiety attacks before they leave the house because they're afraid they're going to go catch COVID if they go to the supermarket or the drugstore or whatever. So one of the things that I would recommend is that long before you make your plans to go to the supermarket, align yourself with your God or your source or your creator or your angel or whoever, whatever it is that's bigger and grander and has more power than you. Connect with that and get a feeling of safety, and know that you're safe, and know that you're flooded with light and love, and you're filled with light and love. And that can be through meditation, or it can be through appreciation.
Right.
Appreciation is another preventative tool.
Yes.
So if I'm walking through my day going, this desk is 10 years old, but I've never in my life had a better desk. I think this desk is terrific, and this is why I like this desk. And then I move to the kitchen and I go, I love the way my walls are decorated. And I'm looking around my house and I'm appreciating, like I'm looking at colors and I'm looking at shapes and I'm looking, just like being mindful in the moment of what there is to appreciate.
An attitude of gratitude.
Well, appreciation and gratitude are slightly different, although they're very, very connected.
Yes.
Similar energy, but they're not the same.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
I want to talk about gratitude in a minute, but having an attitude of appreciation means you can be appreciating whatever's going on. If you have a pet, focus on what you appreciate about your pet. Focus. This is the stuff. If we do this all day long, it's like wearing armor in a way, because
fear can't get in. You're not allowing fear to get in.
Exactly. And
we're
filling ourselves up,
and there's nothing. And so it's like it bounces off you.
Well, you're more likely to be really resilient if you live a life full of appreciation, living mindfully in the moment, appreciating what's going on. And so that's a preventative, and it's also a treatment. So if you find yourself off, say, whoa, okay. Gratitude is a go-to for me. If I'm off, I can sit here and say, oh, I'm so grateful for my friend Vicki. I'm so grateful to own a computer. I'm so grateful to,
I finally figured out Zoom.
I'm grateful I finally figured out Zoom. I'm so grateful I have my new virtual assistant, Kathleen. I'm so, whatever it is, it's all good. And no matter how bad you feel, if you really try, you can sit down and write a gratitude list that has 20 things on it. Even if you get down to, I'm so glad I don't have to think about my heartbeat. It always beats. I always have blood running through my system. I always have enough food. And if I don't have enough food, I know where I can get some. I have a car that runs. Sometimes on some days that when you're really down, it's hard to get like lofty about your gratitude. So get real about your gratitude. Just look at I'm so grateful I have this new sweater. I love the feel. Ooh, love the feel. And I actually really do. I put this on this morning. I'm like, oh yeah. And I try to remember to do that. If something feels nice, I try to notice it. If it looks nice, I try to notice it. So energy goes where attention flows. The more we pay attention to the stuff we appreciate and the stuff we're grateful for, the better we're going to feel. And it has to be kind of a daily, like minute by minute practice for some of us. Not everyone, I wasn't born like resilient. I was born kind of easily crackable, and not so much easily crackable anymore. Now for rescue remedies, breathing, distraction. walking away and doing something mindless, doing something, go outside and look at the flowers or look at the snow or watch the kids across the street playing. Watch any kids playing. Call up your grandchildren or your nieces or your nephews. Spending time around innocence is always an uplifter. I could go on and on. I'll do another video on that. But self-care, there is nothing more important for all of us than doing what you need to do to take care of yourself. Now, Vicki has run into this with me before. Everyone's run into this with me before. I do nothing from approximately 1 o'clock till approximately 3 o'clock. Now, it could be 12:30 to 3:30, or it could be 1 to 2 or whatever, but every single day I lay down with my feet up every day in the afternoon. And I have lunch. I play with my dog. Maybe I meditate, or maybe I'll make a phone call if I have to, but try not to. And I rest. And my professional schedule involves working in the mornings, 2-3 hours off in the afternoon, and then working again at night. And it's not convenient for people.
Right.
It really isn't. A lot of times it's inconvenient, but that's what I sometimes work until 8 o'clock at night.
Right.
I can't go from 6 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night without taking a break in the daytime. I know that about myself. I've tried. I don't do well. It doesn't work. So now I'm like my mother. I hated it when my mother took naps. Oh, but now I'm just like her.
I'm hungry.
And
a sandwich.
That HALT thing, hungry, angry, lonely, tired.
Yep.
If you're hungry, eat. There is nothing, look at your biology. What does my body need?
Right.
If your body is starving, that's what you need to do. You need to stop everything else and eat. If your body isn't well, do I need to see a chiropractor? Do I need to see a doctor? Do I need to get an energy treatment? Do I need to get some Reiki? What do I need to do to take care of my body? And do it. Just do it. There's nothing more important than taking care of your own self. Spiritually, if you're off, there's a whole bunch of tools. Emotionally, there's a lot of tools, and I can't teach them all in 10 minutes. But anyway, is that, I'm sorry. I'm not that.
That's good. That's good. A lot of, too much is, let's parse it out here. But
so if anyone wants to know more about self-care, anything that we've talked about, they can certainly contact me and we can do a couple of sessions. I do self-care plans with people as part of the life coaching and mentorship program. I'm starting a mentorship program.
Very exciting.
That. So yeah, I haven't written it all up yet, but so anyway, thank you. That was fun.
It was fun. This was a good tea. I have to run. I have a class I'm going to teach in a couple of minutes.
Less than a half hour. Less than a half hour.
Yeah, less than a half hour, and I have a few things to do before I get there. So it's, as always, it's a pleasure, Denise.
It's my pleasure too.
Much love, and thank you all for joining us. This is so much fun for us that we figure it's got to be fun for you too, right?
Shout out to Vicki's viewers, lots of love, and thank you to those of you who have subscribed to my YouTube channel. And feel free to contact me anytime.
Yeah, check out her YouTube channel, because this will be on her YouTube channel as well. But she has other stuff there, and it's definitely worth a look-see. She's very sage.
Could I say my website one more time?
Yeah, sure.
It's www.onemindspiritualservices.com. And you can find me on Facebook and Twitter. I'm not very big on Twitter, but I think I'm going to start a Patreon account. Do you know Patreon?
People have been asking me to do that for a while.
Yeah, you do well on Patreon.
I know. I just have to.
It's hard switching gears.
Well, it's not even that. It's like I can barely fit in what I fit in right now. Which is, I could be doing the same thing on Patreon and actually get paid for it a little bit more than what we're doing. But,
right.
And you get people, when it's time,
it'll happen,
and I'll do it. Everything with me is when I'm ready.
Well, everything's when you're ready, and everything's in divine timing. And things, my book. Oh, I'm back working on my book. I completely revamped that ridiculous table of contents that I wrote.
Yeah, you got to chunk those. Make a couple of books.
Oh
If
yeah.
you try to stick it all in one book,
It's cut.
you know what it will
Yeah.
look like? The Biden Bible. You know, did you see the Bible that Biden did his? It was like the family Bible, like this
No.
big.
I
Yeah.
had to get real with myself, and so it's much more. I'm starting to write again, and
You've heard the expression "kiss," right? Keep it
keep it
simple.
simple, stupid. Yeah,
We say keep it simple, sweetie.
or sweetie. Yeah. All right.
All
Thank
right,
you so much. Have a
sweetie.
great
Much
day.
love.
Love to all.
Bye, everybody. Namaste.
Bye. Namaste.